All right, man. Um, Initially, just a prelude. I think you have a brief of the project, but I
Yeah.
just want you to know that at any point, if you want to take a pause,
Okay.
if you want to stop, just let me know so we can end it.
Yeah.
Um, Feel free to express the way you want to express. If you
Yeah.
want to shout, shout. If
Yeah.
you want to get angry, just not obviously
Yeah.
towards me.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
want to cry, whatever
Yeah.
helps
Yeah.
you release. If any question is uncomfortable, you can ask me and we can skip it.
I will.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So, if you could start by telling us your name and who you lost, if it's one person specifically, or
Yeah.
who the people you want to be referring to specifically
Yeah. Yeah.
that you lost.
Super. Um, what's good? My name is Godfrey. Godfrey. Others know me as Tafadzwa. It's my second name. Godfrey Tafield on all my socials. Follow your boy. Yeah, Godfrey. Yeah, when it comes to death, when it comes to people passing away, I think I want to go back to my grandmother, or one of my grandmothers, if I could put it that way. So there's like, so my dad, his biological father passed away when he was really young. So my grandfather's brother took him in, so he became my grandfather. So his wife, so like my grandmother, um, she was very, very special to us as a family. Uh, so she passed away when I was about 9, 10 years old. And I think that's when I really started getting the concept of this person is gone and they're not coming back. So I think I want to go back all the way to then. I'm 32 years old now. So, that's 22 years roughly of just processing what death is and what it looks like, what it feels like, and how it can impact your life. Um, yeah, prior to that, I can't really remember anyone. I mean, of course, there are people that died prior to that. I've got one of my uncles who also died, who was very, very special to us, but we were really young. So we knew he was gone, but the concept, I think I only really felt it much later. But anyway, so my grandmother's a key person in this. Him, my uncle. I'm going to say uncle just for those who are going to watch this who don't really understand Shona family trees, because he's actually a Muzukuru, but let's just say uncle. Yeah, or cousin if you want. Um, and then my dad. My dad is also a very key part in this. He passed away almost 3 years ago now. Also a big shift in my life in terms of how I understand death and what I make of it. Yeah, yeah,
I'm sure that.
yeah,
Um, what do you miss the most
yeah,
about? Because obviously this happened at different stages in your life, right?
yeah,
The first two, your grandmother and your uncle, were when you were a bit younger,
yeah,
and then with your dad was now
yeah,
you're
yeah,
a lot older.
yeah,
What do you miss the most about each one?
yeah. What do I miss the most? Um, so yeah, with my uncle, us being super young and him being older, he was like our blesser, right? Simply put, you know, you always have family members that kind of they can spoil you when you're feeling very, festive and playful and stuff. They're the ones who are a bit more lenient. They're the ones who maybe allow you to sleep later. If you have a bedtime, they're the ones who give you more treats. If you get one at home, maybe they'll give you three. So he was that guy for us, right? I guess for a bit of context, I grew up with, it was initially just my brother and I, so it's three boys in our home. So it's me, then I'm the oldest, and then there's one after me who's 1 year younger than me, and the other one who's 7 years younger than me. So for a while, it was just the two of us. So we were like, like double trouble, kind of raised as twins kind of thing. So it was just always him and us whenever we'd visit him or whenever he'd visit us. So we were spoiled by him, right? So I think what I missed, and I hope I'm answering your question, well, what I can say I would miss is that affection, that kind of affection and special treatment we got from him, like we were his youngsters. The fact that to some extent we were like his sons in a way. Like, these are my boys. So I missed that. But my grandmother, she was like almost the OG grandmother, right? Like grandmothers again, they spoil you, but also like it was such a great balance of discipline as well. as well as a good blend of fun and focus. You're being pushed to work hard. You're being pushed to be proper, right? Honor your parents, listen to your parents. But also, if we did well, we were rewarded accordingly, and so well. Like my grandmother was such a G. Um, yeah, she was. I think she had a few illnesses and all that, and then the way she died as well is kind of a bit tragic, at home, which I don't want to get into details on that, obviously. But okay, it's not obvious, but I don't want to get into details. Um, so even understanding that as well, it's like, man, that's such a painful death, and it sucks for those who are home. You're thinking about so much, and you're so young, and you're processing that at such a young age. But anyway, I miss that very wholesome and rounded approach to being raised by someone who's significantly older than you. She could still be sort of playful with us, but also be an adult around us. Um, us going to their home, like Kumusha, like going to the rurals or whatever, was fun, right? We were also, again, being wholesome and rounded. I brag about being a gent with range, right? So, if you put me in a boardroom, I can hold my own. If you put me in a classroom, if you put me in a lecture room, if you put me in a maize field, if you put me in a field to herd cattle or whatever, I can do all of these things because my grandmother had a big part to play in that. So when it was time to play, by all means, be a kid and play. But it was when it was time to do chores and be useful in the household. Hey, she didn't play games. So that for me was a big thing, and I missed that. I think it would have taken on a different face in the latter parts of my life, where now I'm an adult. I think it would be still good that, hey, if you want to have a good time, have a good time. But if we're grinding, if we're building, if we're investing, she would also have that kind of thing. So I missed that. With my dad, yo, it's the little things that are stupid and silly sometimes that I miss. And it comes as flashes, so it's still quite fresh, obviously. So it's a bit different in the dynamics to my grandmother and stuff, and my uncle. Um, like yesterday morning, it's as fresh as that. So what we do in the mornings, I'm quite health conscious and fitness conscious and stuff. So I make sure that I eat something, breakfast related. And one of the things we've been doing recently is kind of just cooking porridge resrio, like sorghum and millet porridge. And my dad loved that. He really, really did. And it was very routine. Um, Whoever's cooked it or prepared it, there's the process that happens where he's kind of in his room, my parents' room, and someone gets a tray, puts the bowl, and it was like almost like fundamental, like the plate, the spoon, the sugar, the salt, the peanut butter, and either me or someone just put it kind of thing. So I had a flashback of that yesterday, which made me a little bit emotional, but I think it was just a good emotion, I guess, of just, okay, this was a good thing, right? This was, health, yeah, team health, we're eating healthy, put it just real, but man, um, you know, so I miss the little things. Sometimes when, if it's advice that I would get from him, I miss, he was a very sharp man, very frank, told you what he thought. Like anyone and everyone who knew him, he was very blunt. So I miss sometimes. I know this in this day and age, a lot of things are watered down, and there's a lot of lukewarmness and whatever. Not with my Bali, Brad. Like, yo, yeah. So I miss his energy. Sometimes I miss his jokes or funniness. Like I don't even think he realized how funny he was. Like you make the most outlandish comments as well sometimes. But I think one memory for me, and I guess this is just to round it off because I could end up, kind of giving a memoir. But we were watching. So he was a staunch Arsenal fan. I think that's why I have a soft spot for Arsenal. But I will forever troll that club. I'm just gonna put it out there. A lot of you follow my socials, will know. Anyway, he had a soft spot. He supported Arsenal, and I can't remember who came on um, as a substitute, and he's like, ah, this young man, is it his debut? We were like, debut? Dad, do you mean debut? Like, my brothers and I, we were on the floor.
Oh,
So,
sheesh.
you know what I'm saying? Like, he was, yo.
Ah.
So now, so the thing is, what was fortunate and unfortunate, you have a house of boys, and people breaking English, chopping English was a thing for us. So he wouldn't clock certain things, but I think he ended up catching on. And certain times he'd ask me, "How do I say this?" Right now he's careful now, and he's like walking on eggshells. That was funny, but I don't think he realized that. So yeah, man, I think those are some of the fun memories. Just how things were done by these people, how they impacted my life in terms of the warmth they brought and the goodness they brought, and also just how they sharpened me and redirected my life. So yeah, yeah,
That was funny.
yeah,
That's funny.
yeah,
So gonna get something in a bit,
yeah, yeah,
heavier. So
yeah,
just trying to like build into the difficult or the heavy
yeah,
emotions. Um, are you comfortable speaking about how they each died?
yeah. It's fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
So just walk us through how they each died,
yeah,
passed away,
yeah.
and what you felt when you
Heard the
heard the
news.
news.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my uncle, he passed away in a car crash. Very young as well. I mean, I think he was in his either late 20s or early 30s, I believe. Um, Yo, man, it was brutal, bro. Like, so from what I heard about the story, he was on his way home from a soccer game with the gents, out with the gents, and he got hit by a train. Brutal. Died on the spot. So I think that for me, learning about that and really internalizing is just like, man, painful death, possibly. Or that instance where you couldn't even fight for your life, right? Like, also, this was in the 90s, so I don't even know what medics could have been like. Or so I think it was painful, and that kind of upset me a bit and kind of moved me a bit. Um, yeah. My grandmother, I think she was at home and she was in the bathroom bathing, I believe, and she slipped, and I think a head injury is what kind of, you know, I was about to say something so offside. Oh my god, terrible. But I can't say it. Oh my god, this is hilarious. But no, I can't say it. Anyway, death and jokes and stuff, coping mechanism. So just a note for if anything that I say is offside, coping mechanism. Um, yeah. So head injury, I believe, or internal injuries that then cause complications, and then she passed. Um, that was also really hard. I think also there I was grappling with my relationship with God. Right, you're super young, and you're like, but God, she's man, like she slipped. She could have just broken her arm and not die. You know what I mean? Like, or even just grieving at that point. Now I'm really clocking. Like, I cried for the first time from a death notice. The funeral, seeing her, the body viewing, we did that. That was tough, man. Um, but I eventually managed it and kind of just like, okay, she's gone and she's not coming back. My dad, wow, yeah, so he took his own life. Um, Suicide, as they call it, or took it his own life. It seems more palatable. But yeah, it's that one was rough. I was angry. I was disappointed. I was confused. Um, and I was worried as well for my mom, especially. It was just a mix of emotions. Yeah, I think, but also a bit of a silver lining was a sense of relief and a little bit of like happiness, I guess, in that if he got to that point of taking his own life, there must have been some excruciating like mental pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, perhaps. just like psychological pain that took him to that point. And if it's sad that he's gone, but also maybe that pain has ended, right? And so for me, that was also a bit of a crazy silver lining in all of that. um yeah, I was also just so sad for my brother, especially the one after me, because he was like at the scene kind of thing, and everything after that. I'm just like, dude, and I prayed so hard for him, man. Like, God, give him strength, like help him sort of move past that, managing the emotions and all of that.
At
So
the scene as in he
so
was.
where like so my brother, he was the one who was assisting the police officer to take him. So he hung himself. My dad hung himself. So taking him down from the tree, I'm just like, shoot me sideways.
Where were you when this happened?
So I was at home. And the funny thing,
You at home?
I was here at home.
Where did this happen?
Oh wait, it happened in Greyston Park. Um, it happened in Greyston Park along Harare Drive. Yeah, so I don't know how long he'd been planning this and all of that. So even that as well, I'm just like, bro. Um, so he had a drinking problem at some point. So everything was so sudden because you know we're like, "Ah, we've won this battle. We've been fighting him for years. Stop drinking, stop smoking, stop this, stop that, eat, da da da." So at some point he was good, right? And that's what we thought. Like, you know, he was even now like taking walks, and so we're like, "See, grand, jiggy jiggy." Next thing, man is unalived himself, and I'm like, so what did we miss? Now you also kind of low key kicking yourself as well. Did I say something wrong? But I worked hard to protect myself from that, to not shoot myself over the what ifs, because I'll never get answers. So yeah, man, also felt betrayed in a way, because even just that morning, he had spoken to my mom, and it was kind of like, I'm coming back just now, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe he was planning on coming back, and then he changed his mind. I don't know. So I've kind of just, yeah. Um, that morning, what was crazy, and I don't know how to explain it. We found out the news around 2, 3 p.m., but it happened probably around 10, 11 a.m. And that morning, I was off. Like, I couldn't really work. I couldn't really like eat or anything. And I think at the time that he may have actually passed away, something shifted in me, which is just so trippy. And I just couldn't place what it was. I was like, I'm just having an off day. It's a bit of a funk. And then when my aunt and my cousin came through, I something was just like, the way they were now telling us the news. Something was just like, nah. I was sitting in the lounge. My cousin comes in first, and then I hear my aunt like coming in and she's crying. I'm like, something's going on. But still, it didn't clock that it was my dad. But I was like, nah, things have gone left. And when my brother then came in, and his facials and everything, I was like, oh, shucks. And as soon as he then said, okay, look, I'm just going to cut to the chase, dad is no more, dad is gone, I just numbed. Like, I was numb for like 6, 7 months, which is also trippy. I think, we could talk about it a bit more. But I just numbed out. Um, yeah, you know, anyway, yeah. So that's kind of just how I felt. That's what happened for these. Um, I think with my gran, I immediately cried when I go. But with my dad, I just numbed out. I couldn't even cry. I couldn't even ever. I think I only cried later that week when it was really setting in. At some, oh, yeah, even when we had to go identify him and everything, my youngest brother, he cried, but I couldn't bring myself to it. I'm just like, I don't know, a mixture of I need to be strong. I don't know if like how to feel right now. Yeah, so yeah,
Ah, that's amazing, bro.
yeah, man. It wasn't. But yeah, I did get through it, and I'm grateful for that. I think God has a lot to do with that. Community has a lot to do with that, and also just I think God was preparing me. Um, so I think it's the thing where, and maybe this can be academic or maybe some sort of hypothesis, right? That your access to a person, your connection, and the strength of that connection or bond can impact what disconnect or distance from them can be like. So if it's someone you see a lot and speak to a lot and etc, the disconnect or the disjointedness of things can be more intense. You know what I mean? Kind of like a separation anxiety that can kick in to an extent, right? So there's a big part of my life where I'm away from my parents, I'm away from home, and you kind of grow a thicker skin in managing that and dealing with being away from home. So I can't. I mean, I know the instances where if I'm at boarding school or if I'm in uni and I'm out of the country, like yeah, I miss my dad, but I'm good still, right? Because I know I've sort of lived without him. Um, or even the thing of getting along and us being close in the way that we were close, the separation then or the distancing then and the disconnect then as a result of his death, I had kind of already zoned into just being away from him. And I think that's a big part to play with. It's kind of, maybe maybe a bit morbid to kind of think like God was setting me up for that in that way, but I think it holds water to say like I'm okay, right? Just because I've been okay without him, right? It does take on a different shift and a dynamic when you look at the length and time and this the gravity of it. That okay, it's no longer a I'll see you later. It's just, I mean, it can be if we talk about heaven and whatever, but yeah, like now it could be decades from now, and that kind of intensity is like oh snap, okay. But yeah, I think that's one way I can say God was preparing me, just knowing I've been away from him before and it looked like this, etc. So yeah.
And like you said, you spoke about how God, you feel like God was preparing you before. Um, sorry,
Yeah, it's fine.
network on this
If
side.
the dog comes, it's
Ah,
okay. I
it's
think
okay.
it's just not you. Yeah.
What, if any, scriptures, songs,
Hmm.
verse do you feel helped you go through, like, I guess, this life after
Yeah.
his passing?
Yeah.
Because I know you said when you were younger you had a weird relationship with God, but obviously you were young, so
Mm.
we could say that maybe how you process things then was
Yeah.
different from how you process
Yeah.
things now.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that this happened more recently in
Yeah.
your adult life, was there anything you can pinpoint that
Yeah. Hmm.
helped you go through it in
Yeah.
terms of with your faith?
Yeah. So I I appreciate what my journey has looked like as an adult, in my Christian life, um, where I had a phase where I was just really searching into scripture, learning and unlearning about God and what I knew about God. So I learned that He is sovereign. I learned that He is all knowing, He's ever present, that He is Emmanuel, right? God with us. So I've never doubted that God is with me. Even as trippy as it is, like you're literally there with me and you're seeing me go through this, right? It's a bit of a mind trip. But yeah, I've never doubted that reality. I think that's actually what's carried me through a lot. That he knows that I'm going through this, and perhaps then I just need to trust that there's a good and reasonable and understandable purpose for what I'm going through. Because he's wise and he's ultimately, the ever present God. So that kind of just knowing him and knowing about him in that kind of way has helped a lot. So particular scriptures that then stand out. I know that he's the father to the fatherless. So even that way he fills the gap, and he's brought people in my life in very real terms to step in and be father figures to me has been incredible. It's an answered prayer, so I was very intentional about it, that as well, for myself. I know people have prayed for me, right? God, here's Godfrey. Um, can you bring men into his life who can stand by him just as a father would, kind of thing? Answered prayers for sure. But I've also done it for myself. God, I need people in my life I can walk with who can be father figures. So he's like, and then there's him. Um, I also know that community is a big, big, big part of walking through all of this. And Romans 12 comes to mind. I think it's between verse 9 and 12, where people, as you're reading, you're probed to, if you laugh and dance and celebrate with those who are laughing and dancing and celebrating, depending on translation you read. Cry with those who are crying. Comfort those who need comfort. Teach those who need to be taught. Prophesy to those who need to be prophesied to. Comfort those who need to be comforted. Um, all of that stuff. And so I know that if someone else is reading that, they're thinking of me. You know what I'm saying? So that's very comforting. I've gotten through life through that. Matthew 5 is also really great. The Beatitudes, I think that's from verse 1 to 12, if I'm not mistaken. No, not 12, maybe 10. So the Beatitudes, God blesses those who mourn, or those who cry. So I know that I'm blessed in this. Um, I think the other one is either James or Philippians, where he is strong. In my weakness, he is strong. And there's the miraculous manifestation of strength in my life just from my weakness as well, which is quite cool. So yeah, I mean, there's so many other references I can make, but I know for a fact that God is with me and He's there for me. Just what that looks like and understanding that can be a bit of a bit of a task. But yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay, let's have a look.
yeah, yeah.
I'll keep it rolling.
Okay.
30 minutes
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
recording here.
Oh nice, 30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, almost. We're
Yeah,
like at
yeah,
27.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, because my responses can be a bit long. So
no, but
yeah.
in general, like, actually, in general, like with interviews like that, most people actually don't realize that time actually moves really
Oh no,
fast.
no, I get it. No, I'm saying, Kuti, if you had continued, say, getting into
Oh, yeah, yeah,
28,
yeah,
if I'm gonna give a 4 minute
yeah. Yeah, I
response,
want you to have enough
yeah,
space for
yeah,
people
yeah,
like
that's what I
Joe.
mean. Yeah.
What I mean, I think some of the questions I was going to ask you
Mm,
already even answered
yeah.
that you answered.
No, that's all good. It's all
But
good.
did you have any ritual or like practice?
Mm, mm,
Um, I know obviously we can assume that you were always immersed in the word. You always
yeah,
maybe going to church. Do you have any ritual practice you started after that that
yeah,
I guess made you feel some sort of peace?
yeah. So that's a good question. I think if we talk about, yeah, some sort of ritual practice, tradition, or new norm, I must say my community has a big part to play in that. I really, really invested in giving just as much as I receive. Um, so people really showed up for me, bro. Like, I think that was God saving me through community. I show up, bro, like as well as I can, whether it's my time or if I can actually do something for you, whatever. So the moment where I'm, I just need to be a receiver, right? Was humbling. It was so touching. It was such a big deal. And so, in people showing up for me, people were visiting. Hey, bro, are you home? I want to bring you cake. Like, whomst am I to say no to cake, bro? I want to bring you pizza. What's your favorite flavor? Like, so someone asking me and actually caring about that and just showing up was just really dope, dude. Are you bored? Are you good? We can just come and just hang out. Or sometimes I can just come and just sit and just listen. You want to vent? So what happened there? There was a bit of a consistency and a constancy that was happening, as people were coming to visit. And it so happened that there was the one Sunday where a lot of my friends were coming all at once, where it was kind of like they all kind of created a group, which is also just so dope. They created a group. It's like, we're gonna go see Godfrey. We're gonna just be there, hang out with him, whatever, whatever. So I think someone gave me a heads up on that. Kuti Tumtoya Takawanda were coming, um, like as a group. So I'm like, okay, I need to psych up mentally, emotionally to kind of host people, but also still just be present and show up and just be a good sport, you know? Well, it would be cool to actually do a bunch of activities maybe and not necessarily just sit and talk or just, listen to music, whatever, but we can actually do stuff. So yeah, I had the bright idea of, um, you know, coming up with games and activities to do and stuff. And that's how we actually sort of had our first games day, right? So this was in, I believe, January. If it wasn't January, then it probably was February. But yeah, people came through. It was incredible. There were a few videos here and there, pictures, whatever. And we had this grand picture at the end. And I'm like, man, this is dope. And I think someone hashed, dude, we can do it again if you're keen. We can come again if you want. And so I was like, why not? And I think the next couple of weeks or something, I was a bit bored or whatever. I was like, guys, are you keen? It's another Sunday coming up. Let's do it. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And we did it. It was bigger, it was better, it was more organized. And yeah, that's kind of how the games day came up, actually. So that's kind of, I guess, the ritual slash tradition. Although it's taken on a different face now because that's grown into its own thing with its own community. There's the real people there that have their real connections, and so it's not necessarily attached to the death and mourning and support and comfort, but that's where it was birthed actually. Um, so for me, that's kind of a big thing where it's like, how am I giving of myself? Um, and in that, I find fulfillment. I find people showing up for me as well. It's yeah, and I think just as a closing remark on that, it does align with scripture in terms. I think it's Proverbs 11 verse 17 that to give is better than receiving, right? I'm paraphrasing insanely there, but as you give, as you bless others, the Lord will bless you, type thing. And of course, you don't do it to receive the blessing, but you will get blessed if you're going to bless someone else. And for me, ritual, tradition, whatever, as it comes in that way, is how I show up for other people, and what I do and bring together and build and develop and invest in, um, systematically, periodically, um, consistently, in whatever way has been a big thing. So yeah, yeah, shout out.
Good. And then in closing,
Yeah.
um, well, it's like it's two pronged. The
Mm.
first thing is if you could place where you are now,
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
into one sentence,
Yeah.
what would you say?
If I place where I am now.
How you're feeling, just
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
your
Yeah. Yeah.
relationship with grief.
Yeah. Ooh, such a loaded question. Damn. Okay. So
One sentence, one
yeah.
word, whichever. Yeah,
Oh. Ooh. One sentence.
one
Shoot
sentence.
me
Yeah.
sideways. Hey. Okay. So keep it simple, right? Yeah. Keep it simple. Keep things simple, or like, it's simple. Yeah. So keep it simple. Go about it simply. Grief is simple. Yeah, and a lot can be said about that and unpacked, and I definitely want to double click on that. But yeah, yeah, keep it simple. Yeah.
How did you feel about having to put it into one
Oh, that
sentence?
was challenging, but I love challenges. Um,
What was
I-
challenging about it?
how can
Because
I?
obviously,
Yeah,
the idea is grief is always seen as this huge,
huge
complex
thing.
thing,
Yeah,
right? But sometimes we can actually narrow down on the most core emotion, the most core feeling when we have to put it into
yeah,
like one word or one sentence.
yeah. So yeah, it was a challenge. I mean, so I'm very I elaborate a lot. I'm big on comprehension and being comprehensive and thorough. So there definitely was a work in, compounding that and compressing it, you know, which is a challenge for me, but I like that challenge a lot sometimes because I mean, when I do my work, so I'm in the media space, I'm in the marketing space, and you do a lot of copywriting, a lot of wording and explaining and describing, and you have a thing with words. So it's more natural for me to extend a thought and really explain and expand. But now it's like what? So it was a good challenge. Yeah, good question.
Well, now you have your chance to speak. So the last bit
Yeah.
is I want you to, when you're answering this, just look straight into the camera
Okay.
and imagine you're speaking to someone who is grieving
Yeah.
right now.
Mm,
And you can share just a word of encouragement or just anything you feel moved to say to
yeah.
whoever's going to be watching
Hmm.
who is going through grief
Yeah.
right now.
It aligning to that. Oh, okay.
As you, it's an
Okay.
open
Okay.
ended, so
Cool.
as you feel, yeah.
Okay. Hi. I want to encourage you.
Oh, sorry. So when you're answering for just for this last one,
Mm.
just say, so if you're watching this and you're grieving right now,
Oh, okay. I'll
yeah.
wait. Okay. Hello. Hi. If you're watching this and you're grieving, you're processing grief, you are journeying through grief, I want you to know that it's okay to feel how you're feeling. It's okay to experience the thoughts that you're thinking. I was about to say the thoughts you're thoughting. you know, yeah. I've purported that grief should be simple. It should be gone about simply. It should be simplified. Um, if you're sad, then be sad. And if you're gonna cry, cry. If you're gonna celebrate that person and be happy and be reminiscent, do that as well. And it's simple. You just gotta do it. You just gotta go through the motions and feel because that's what it actually demands and that's what it actually requires of you to do. Um, Even living and learning around that, learning about processing, learning about yourself as you deal with this whole grief thing is important. And it also is a simple process. So, yeah, it's not easy, but it is simple. I want you to hold on to that. It's not easy, but it is simple. Just going about how you should go about it, how you can go about it. There also isn't any right or wrong to it. I guess in closing, my family, immediate family, there's my brothers and I, the three of us, and my mother, right? Each of us lost either a father or a husband, right? And how we all processed that was so different. How we tried to simplify this journey was all so different. But I think we are getting on with that and actually simplifying the process of just dealing with it and just getting through it. So, yeah, don't kick yourself about how you're going about it. Although, of course, do strive to have healthy ways of managing anything related to that grief, and you'll be fine. I can assure you. If you're praying, especially if you have good people around you, uzoba strong. You'll be good. I'm good. I can testify for sure. I really believe that I'm good. So yeah,